GM. What's going on, guys? Welcome to GM Chat. It's Thursday. Had a little bit of a late start today, but I wanted to upload some videos, and of course, they weren't loading for me. So it is what it is, but we are here. It's Thursday morning, July 24th. We got Matt in the building up here early. What's going on, family? Got Jinsu up in the building. What's going on, family? Thanks for pulling up. We got 18 of you guys in here early. I do appreciate that. Yeah, dude, Matt, the intro, I saw that and all right, so here's the story behind the intro. The reason I use that is like, I mean, I think of us sometimes as the Joker, like we're misunderstood. We love crypto. We think it's the biggest thing in the world, and it's just we're also degenerate and crazy as fuck too. So I don't know, it's just something that always reminded me of this space, like our deep rooted, like a lot of our core people, like no matter how much we mature and move and grow in this space, it's just something that I like. The soundtrack, all of it, it literally comes up. What is that shit? It's like, I forget what it is. It's like there's like a ding or something like that comes on my YouTube channel every time. I forget that. I gotta look it up because I can't think of what it's called. Copyright, that's what it is. Copyright warning comes up, but it's allowed. They allow it to be played, so I don't really care. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But yeah, it's exactly, what it makes me think of. It's like our space, our friends, our family, and how crazy we are about everything here. But I think there's some validity to that. The other part about that is it's the tail end of that is just a reminder that we have the daily stream, usually around 11 o'clock, sometimes a little bit later. But nevertheless, we are rocking and rolling and getting this thing started. All right, I got a nice little intro for us here. Some updates today, some news. Got some new clips. Like I said, I updated them. I got a longer one that really breaks down what Bitcoin is. It's something I wanted to kind of start playing on here from time to time when we have a nice little audience. The beans that we have, 23 of you guys in here. Before I get into this intro, if you guys don't mind reposting, tag a friend. Let them know that, we're bringing the vibes and the value this morning, talking about some good stuff, maybe some alpha, and maybe breaking down some stuff that you don't understand. You guys are more than welcome to put in the chat anything you want me to take a look at or look up. I might take a look at charts, meme coin charts or something like that. I might take a look at some of them, like Troll and Fwog and some of those guys that I like. I know you guys have some of your favorites. Be happy to take a look if we have some time. I don't have any time constraint on this one. Try to go for about an hour as usual. But guys, welcome back to the GM Chat. I'm SMS, your host, and this is presented by SMS Live. We're here to start your morning with Solana Made Simple. I focus on Bitcoin, Solana, Web3, and crypto-related things. So if that's why you're here, you're in the right place. But we also tap into the mindset, culture, and all of those kinds of things as well, because they go hand in hand with what we do. If we're not, focusing on the whole, scope of things. I mean, you don't have to detail and, zero in on them. But if you don't pay attention to the full scope of what we're doing here, you're going to be missing some parts. So I always like to start my spaces, my streams off with a little mentality kind of thing, a little mindset, kind of coaching, training, whatever you want to take from it is, if you take nothing from this, I hope that you take something from the quote of the day. I always try to remind you guys, keep a piece of paper and get a pen with you. Take notes, whatever, you're thinking about, and you want to ask questions, you can DM, you can put it in the chat. Anything that you might want to put down as far as what you regard as alpha, you can write that down and you won't miss it. I do this during spaces and streams just because, you don't always get to ask your question. You forget, shit happens. It is what it is. Let me change this real quick. I like when I see the mic in the John. All right, that looks better. Let me put this up. Am I too high in the seat or something? What the fuck is going on now? I feel like I got to change this every day. Yeah, that's not good at all. Let's go back down here. Maybe that's better. Yeah, I'll take it. But anyway, the quote of the day is the quote of the day is drink some coffee real quick. No. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, self-doubt is self-sabotage. You doubting yourself is more dangerous than 1,000 people doubting you. You have to believe that you can do it, and that's it. It's as simple as that. You could have the entire timeline telling you, that's a fucking stupid idea. You shouldn't go about it that way. You need to do it this way, whatever. Like, they can doubt your approach, but they're not you. All you have to do is believe in your approach, what you're bringing to the table, and that's authentic. That's organic. That's the passion kind of stuff that people are like, why do you keep doing this? Well, I fucking love it. It's what I like to do. This is the way I like to do it, and it got me this far. You know, I'm not saying don't be teachable, coachable, or, you know, always be a student. There's always something to learn, no matter what level you're at, no matter your experience in this game. But if you have any sort of self-doubt because you let other people's opinions creep into, you know, your game plan, that's self-sabotage. You're fucking your own shit up most of the times. Like, think about it like this: if you pay attention to the sentiment on the timeline when it's regarding something like, let's say, Bonk, you know, everybody thought it was, well, no, not Bonk, that's, I mean, we all knew that that's a banger. Tayo is a good one. A lot of people wrote those off, and Tayo was at like 4 or like under 10 soul. Now it's at like 80 soul or something like that. People doubted what it was. People doubted that play. Some people might have, you know, been fudded out of their position because they created some self-doubt from listening to the opinions of others. The reason you bought that should never have changed. The value never changed there. Soulport Tom is the G. So for the people that let other influence dictate their decision making, it became a self-sabotaging situation. So, not to beat a dead horse, guys, but do not let other people's opinions influence or anything like that. Like, your belief in yourself is way more powerful than the entire timeline telling you that that's a bad idea. So just keep that in mind when you're going throughout your day. You're trying to do something, but more than anything, take fucking charge of shit and you know, execute on something and just believe that you can make it happen. It might be the most scariest situation you ever put yourself in. Like, you know, you might not have a safety net, but that's probably where you need to be. That's just my belief, and that means it's going to get harder. And if you want more out of life, it should be hard. You shouldn't ask for an easy life and expect a lot of stuff out of it. If you want an easy life, best of luck. Seems like you're gambling a little bit there. But anyway, guys, I'm a master chef at Marinade Finance. I'm the content and marketing lead at DD Gaming Labs. And I am part of the Zeus working group, guys. And with that being said, there is a little bit of an announcement regarding, you know, Zeus. Next Tuesday, 7/29, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be going live with Jules Trade, starting off the first episode of Solana Made Simple, powered by Zeus Network. I think I got a little clip up here I can play for you guys so you can take a look at this. It's going to be on the timeline. You're going to be seeing this popping up and all around, but we're really excited about this. It's been something we've been kind of talking about for the last couple of weeks and putting together, but here you go. There you have it, guys. That's the flyer that we put out there. It's on the timeline. I've been reposting it. Jules has been posting it as well. The Zeus Network group has been reposting it. So if you guys see it on the timeline, if you don't mind liking it, reposting it, tagging a friend, tell them to pull up next Tuesday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be going live. It's going to be a good time. I hope you guys, you know, pull up to that and you can take a little bit from it. But with that being said, we're going to start the show off. Oh, hold on. Got like 2 more things I got to say, and then I want to play this clip. This is a like 5-6 minute long clip, but I think you guys will enjoy it. Some of you may have seen it, but it breaks down what Bitcoin is in a level that you can understand from any perspective. But before we get to that video, just to remind you guys, today's schedule, we have GM Chat. You guys are here and now. You guys are listening to me make up new language. Just kidding. No, you're here now. I appreciate you guys so much for being here, all 30 of you. If you could repost this, it means a lot. But we have the daily stream coming up at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then at 5 p.m. we're kicking it with Solana Dean and Tactical Sticks with Solana Chillin'. No guest today, unless I find somebody along the way. We'll see how that goes. Maybe somebody will pop up in the timeline and get a hold of somebody. But we also have another announcement later on today. We have a one-on-one with the first female for the one-on-one show. So stay tuned for an announcement. We're going to drop that and some information, but you guys all know her. She's been, you know, extremely active in the space. Here, I'll give you a hint. She's battling a fox. And if you guys know, you know. If not, stay tuned on the timeline. Keep your notifications on because I'm really excited to bring in a new guest. I've been able to maintain at least one a week. I'm pretty stoked about that. Going 2 or 3 is a little bit more hectic, but I got a couple more in the pipeline. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I really do enjoy doing the one-on-ones. It brings people to the stage that don't always get the same opportunity. It brings network and opportunities as far as connecting and growing and expanding, learning about people and getting a different perspective that maybe you haven't been able to get before. But for the record, if you guys wanted to join the stream right here, to think about this like a space, you guys can be in here with me just like this. Imagine this is your PFP. It'd probably look better like this. But imagine that's your PFP. You can come on up here and rock and roll and talk with us.
See,
This is probably going to give you some crazy background noise, but you can see what I'm saying. It works just fine. You don't have to show your face. I would much rather, wrong button. I would much rather you show your face because it is a live stream. That's the purpose of this. It is a video, opportunity. But if you guys don't want to, that's all well and good. You're more than welcome to join in. Just let me know. Drop a message in the chat. Just say, yo, drop a link. Send me a DM or send me a DM. I'll check them periodically throughout the day or throughout the stream, and then we'll keep this thing going. But man, it's been a good week. We had a good couple days so far. I start mine on Sundays. I prepare on Saturdays, and that's just who I am. I've created a life like that. I don't have the same responsibilities as everybody. So I do joke around and say, don't touch grass on the weekends. But if you've got family, friends, and that's like your main gig, and this is like a side thing, not priority, by all means, touch that grass. But if you are in the position of me where you're trying to make this a lifestyle and a livelihood, I don't got time to touch grass unless I plan for it. That's why I literally schedule my day out like, 2, 3 o'clock. Might be headed to the pool. Might be headed to the gym, shit like that. But I make sure I do make some time for myself. But I think that the grind is more worth it for where I'm at in my position right now. So when I do say that, that's what I mean. I don't mean literally, don't ever take time for yourself. You need that stability in life. But before we get any further, guys, let's take a peek into this. This is a really interesting video for you guys to take a look at, break down what is Bitcoin and why is Bitcoin. So let's take a look.
Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Brown, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Peter Van Valkenburg, and I'm the Director of Research at Coin Center, an independent nonprofit focused on the public policy issues affecting cryptocurrency and public blockchain networks. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the world's first cryptocurrency, and it works because of the world's first public blockchain network. What does Bitcoin do? It's simple. It lets you send and receive value to and from anyone in the world using nothing more than a computer and an internet connection. Now, why is it revolutionary? Because unlike every other tool for sending money over the internet, it works without the need to trust a middleman. The lack of any corporation in between means that Bitcoin is the world's first public digital payments infrastructure. And by public, I simply mean available to all and not owned by any single entity. Now, we have public infrastructure for information, for websites, for email. It's called the internet. But the only public payments infrastructure that we have is cash, as in paper money. And it only works in face-to-face transactions. Before Bitcoin, if you wanted to pay someone remotely over the phone or the internet, then you could not use public infrastructure. You would rely on a private bank to open their books and add a ledger entry that debits you and credits the person you're paying. And if you both don't use the same bank, well, then there'll be multiple banks and multiple ledger entries in between. With Bitcoin, the ledger is the public blockchain, and anyone can add an entry to that ledger, transferring their Bitcoins to someone else. And anyone, regardless of their nationality, race, religion, gender, sex, or creditworthiness, can for absolutely no cost create a Bitcoin address in order to receive payments digitally. Bitcoin is the world's first globally accessible public money. Is it perfect? No. Neither was email when it was invented in 1972. Bitcoin's not the best money on every margin. It's not yet accepted everywhere. It's not used often to quote prices, and it's not always a stable store of value. But it is working, and the mere fact that it works without trusted intermediaries is amazing. It's a computer science breakthrough, and it will be as significant for freedom, prosperity, and human flourishing as the birth of the internet. And Bitcoin is just the beginning. If we can replace private payments infrastructure, then we can replace other private choke points to human interaction as well. Now, why should we want to build more public infrastructure? Why should we embrace blockchains over corporate intermediaries? Why should we tolerate their inefficiencies and work to make them better? Why should we want the pioneers of this technology here in the United States and not fleeing overseas? A simple reason. Because the corporate intermediaries providing today's critical but privately owned infrastructure are becoming fewer larger, and more powerful, and their failures are increasingly grave. So roughly half of all Americans, 143 million people, had their Social Security numbers exposed to hackers because of a breach at Equifax. The SWIFT network has relayed hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent transactions because of hacked member banks in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Ecuador, and Russia. The FBI suspects now that the largest of these hacks was perpetrated by North Korea. Corrupt, low-level employees at an Indian bank, Punjab National, were able to fraudulently certify SWIFT messages stealing $1.8 billion. It's the largest electronic bank robbery in history. In fact, it's the largest bank robbery in history. In October 2016, an estimated 1.2 million internet-connected devices were hacked and turned into a botnet that for several hours made prominent websites unavailable across Europe and North America, including CNN and Fox News, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. Increasingly, physical machines are being connected to the internet to augment their capabilities. They're wired through servers that are owned and maintained by private and trusted intermediaries, the so-called Internet of Things. Pacemakers from St. Jude's Hospital have been hacked. Baby monitors from TrendNet have been hacked. And Jeeps from Jeep have been hacked to the point where they can be remotely commandeered and driven off the road. Now, those vulnerabilities are inescapable in systems that have single points of failure. It doesn't matter if the point of failure is a corporation or if it's a government. There shouldn't be a single point of failure. Similar choke points existed before the internet. If you wanted to deliver a message, you'd have to go through one of 3 television broadcasters or a handful of newspapers. Private corporations are essential, but no critical infrastructure should rely on 1 or 2. The internet removed single points of failure in communications infrastructure and ushered in a wave of competition among new media corporations building on top of its public rails. Blockchains can similarly disintermediate critical payments and IoT infrastructure. The technology is not yet ready to answer all of those questions today, but it is our best hope. And as with the internet in the 1990s, we need a light-touch, pro-innovation policy to ensure that these innovations flourish in America for the benefit and security of all Americans.
Now that's pretty fucking bullish, right? Like when I heard that, I was like, damn, that dude just, he really dropped some bars right there and broke it down. But I wanted to play that. I'll probably play that a little bit more often because I don't think everybody really understands, like, what is the core reason why we're here? What are we trying to do other than make money? Yeah, that's a byproduct of what we're doing here, why we're here, and what comes from that. Listening to that, watching it, it's one of those things, like, you can't overstudy what this is. Something will grab your attention because of where you're at in this space, something you heard in a conversation, whether it's NFT related, whether it's meme coin related, whether it's protocol related, DeFi. It all is going to stem back to the original thesis of why we're here and what we're doing. And just reminding ourselves and hearing it delivered in that aspect, and honestly in that room, should be a good indicator of the seriousness of the problems and the solutions that it is solving. And now everything that we do to piggyback on top of that, all the DApps, all the payment solution, payment processing, accepting this crypto, staking, high yield, whatever, farming, all of these things, like these come from the idea that we need to have, that 0 point of failure situation. We need to have that public blockchain, that we need to have a public, payment solution. So I don't know. It's definitely something that I think you guys should, sorry, I'm just being completely distracted with the timeline. My bad. But no, I wanted to play that for you guys so you could take a look. But I got a couple other clips that I wanted to get into, and I know I started a little bit late, so I am going to run into them, give you guys something a little bit more appealing. But this one is, let's say, how do I explain this one? Since we just talked about Bitcoin, I do want to tap into this just because this is very related to why it's important to pay attention to Solana, having Bitcoin available with Zeus Network, with ZBTC, with Apollo being able to let you take your Bitcoin and, basically swap it over to Solana and be able to start using the DeFi, start using the execution layer that Solana provides. And that's, what me and Jules are going to be talking about in this show right here, just to start things off. Let's take another look real quick. And guys, set your reminders for that. Keep your notifications on, and we're going to be kind of sharing that out and pushing it until the show. And we'll get on a consistent basis. You guys can expect that every single Tuesday going forward. But want to give a huge shout out to the Zeus Network for releasing BTC Sol. Basically, what this means is, guys, you could take your Solana or your liquid staking Sol. Specifically, M Sol would be a good bet because that means that you're staking with Marinade and the chef hat stays on. But BTC Sol was, Marinade Finance was their launch partner, so also wanted to kind of highlight that there. So they're definitely making some good connections in the space. But the point about this is, you take your Solana, you don't lose your position, and whether it's MSOL or Solana, your position stays. You're just going to start receiving ZBTC, which is Bitcoin. You would essentially never have to buy Bitcoin again if you have your bags back with Bitcoin at another price range, whatever the case is on that. This is going to, earn your rewards as you stake your Solana, as you stake your liquid stake in Solana. You're going to be able to get your rewards. Just bottom line, ZBTC. It buys it off of the yield that you accrue. It automatically does that for you. So it's something to pay attention to. And for the rest of the month, guys, if you are staking with BTC Sol, you're going to earn a 2% bonus from Marinade Finance of their MNDE token. And there's going to be some exciting things happening with the MND token. So one of the votes just passed. We were talking about that in the space last Tuesday with Wombat. If you guys didn't catch up with that, you can play it back. It is recorded. But let's take a look at this real quick.
Now quickly, the lob, Zion's there. Plays it ahead of more. Now quickly, the lob.
Yeah, that commercial goes kind of hard, doesn't it? Yeah, I like all the content that I've been able to see here. So if you guys, again, remember, sorry guys, a little wake and bake for you. My bad. But again, if you guys wanted to join in and be part of the conversation, whether you are doxxed or not, you guys are more than welcome. You just got to let me know. You could be a PFP just like this, or you can show your face just like me. Let me know. We can always keep that going. Just think about a space where you're able to have a conversation, people in the chat and an audience. That's kind of the way I go with this. But there is opportunity for you guys to also produce your own show. Let's say you wanted to start a morning show or a daily show or whatever you wanted to do. You had a skit. You just wanted to do some kind of whatever. I have a bunch of ideas of things to do. But the point of that is, whether it's a space or a stream, I want to guys help you get that off the ground running, give you a platform to kind of launch it off of, and then maybe take it on your own. But that's the thing, man. With Solana Made Simple, I've always wanted to make it a point to elevate and highlight the people in the space, the community. I believe in the culture of Solana and the longevity of it, and it starts with you being the kind of person to create the initiative and give opportunity to other people. My platform has been consistently growing since I got into the space, and the biggest thing I did was never listen to anybody's direct advice. Take what I see and create what I want with it. It's not a negative thing, but I don't always agree with the takes that people have of how this is how I did it, you should do it too. It's like, no, maybe certain things, but like they should definitely be their own voice. You should represent your name before PFP. Like I understand people say, well, they're going to see the PFP first. I'm like, not if you make a good name for yourself, right? Like mine's SMS. You see that on the timeline. You're like, okay, I know exactly who that is. When you have to use a picture and create a facade, I believe that's great. You can brand with that, but if you don't create, a name for yourself, and that's the name of the game, in my opinion. But stand out, be willing to break the rules, break the mold, and you probably will go a lot further, a lot faster. And make sure that you grab the community and cultivate that along the way. And that's why I say it's good to be alone and like that's okay. But make sure that you remember that the biggest and the most important part about this is community. Community is communication and unity. It's not just preaching, saying the fucking buzzwords, liking, retweeting, and being a, I grind. Yeah, dude. But do you really like have, the wherewithal and the understanding of where you're at, what you mean to the space? And that's something where I want to give people the opportunity, because not everybody's streamed before this. People are just waking up because they've been living underneath a rock. They didn't see the smoke before the fire or whatever it was. But I saw this in 2024. I took advantage of it because a lot of other people were not doing live streaming. But if you look at the streams, it's a pink fucking, it's before all the spaces first off, and it's pink. So it's supposed to catch your attention. That's the most obvious thing for me. But yeah, again, if you guys have spaces or something like that, you want to help host, you want to get that off the ground running, I want to be able to help you out with SMS Live. But moving on, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at what was this? What did I want to take a look at? We looked at that. This is Marinade Finance. This is a clip that kind of explains. I think this really explains where they're at more or less now. The other ones I've played before. Well, fuck it. We'll just play both of them. This is a little bit of an intro of the background, the story, and everything about what's going on over there in the kitchen, and then the other one kind of tells you where we're at now, what you can do, or why it's important to be staking with Marinade Finance. So let's take a look at that real quick.
Marinade started in 2021 at a Solana hackathon. A small, bootstrapped team, pure conviction, and community. We introduced MSOL, the first liquid staking token on Solana, opening the door to Solana DeFi. When the market crashed, we stayed. When others pivoted, we doubled down. We grew with the Solana community, the ones who showed up, staked in, and believed. We didn't just build early, we built for the long haul. And we've evolved. From MSOL to native staking, from wait times to instant unstake, from open access to high-quality KYC verified validators. No smart contract risk, no shortcuts. Just secure, audited, non-custodial staking. Institutional-grade experience with retail accessibility. Because we believe fine infrastructure should feel like fine dining. And Solana just tastes better with Marinade, the best staking rewards, slow cooked since 2021. The chef's hat stays on.
I fucking love their clips. Like, they're the best. But a lot of that video, man, hits home to me. It's like, I've been here since then. I've been here since the beginning, and to be able to team up with the Master Chef program and Marinade Finance, like, I didn't see that on my bingo cards, honestly, but it means a lot to me. It means that I'm part of the really core ecosystem. And one of the biggest things I like to remind people is the thing you can do with Marinade Finance. Like, check it out. Get your Solflare, or first thing is you get your cell phone, you download Solflare, get yourself an app, get into the ecosystem by that. And then you can just use the browser, go to Marinade Finance in there. And this is what I like to explain to people. Think about this as a 9-to-5 worker, or somebody that doesn't have, all the time to do the shit that we do here or try to do here. Because some people try to balance that and it doesn't work. But I am full-time here, and it does work for me. But when I was working construction, I wouldn't be able to do this to this degree, but I'd be making income every single week. However, there's no way to really leverage that by just working and putting it into a savings account, right? Exactly. All right, so like, you can put it into high yield savings accounts. You can do that, but the average person doesn't even understand and know that they can invest. They're starting to see it. They know Robinhood and all of these types of things, they exist. But again, we have that middleman problem that we kind of spoke about with the Bitcoin. That's why I played the video, so you guys can understand that there is a point of failure here. We saw what happened with Robinhood when they froze an asset that you could not sell, where people were losing their position, and that could have been extremely crazy, life-changing money. They put squeezes. You get the point. You have interest, you have incentivized people to do and things on both sides of the scale. So the 9-to-5 work, it doesn't have time to do that. Can't could put it into the savings account, but this gives it an opportunity where you are the banker, you are the custodian. So you do have to get them a little bit more equipped with what a wallet is and security, but it's getting easier, it's getting more simplified. You're starting to use biometrics, you're starting to use emails, you're starting to have methods where there is almost a customer service, so to speak, when it comes to wallets. Now, for me, creating Solana Made Simple. My point was to break this down so the average person can understand it and explain it. I don't want you to just take what you hear from me and be like, all right, I got the alpha. It's like, no, I want you to be able to hear in a digestible way that, the average person, because we are not the average people. They're like, think about how many people in your life talk about crypto. Very few people, unless like you're really, really involved. I'm talking about family, extended friends, like whatever. Not everybody is to that knowledgeable or understanding how wallets work. Well, we're getting very, very close. So I tell people, if you use a phone, play games, have internet connection, use email, and use websites, you can get into crypto with no problem. Like, you just have to understand that you are the responsible, accountable one. You are the banker. You're the custodian. What that all means is you are the only person responsible for if you put money in or take money out. The reason that you have a bank is you are letting them do your work, basically, and they are taking your money and saying, hey, we'll protect your money. We're also going to invest and make a shit ton more, and we're going to give you back basically nothing, and we appreciate it, but your money is safe, and we insure it up to this point. But if it goes past that point, we only gave you this much anyway, so you knew that getting into it. You knew if you had $1 million, they're only insuring like a quarter of that, something like that, in most savings accounts. So you got to understand that you get to save all of that. You get to hold all of that. The next part about that is they start buying Solana. They start buying, their USDC, their stable coins, whatever it is. They want to find things to do with them. Well, basically, I'd kind of explained it to people. You understand this volatility because you got this far with crypto. That had to be in the conversation somewhere. To the extent of the volatility, that's a degree of what you're buying. The higher price assets seem to be less volatile than, the smaller ones, just because large cap, small cap, so on and so forth. You can have that conversation with them too. But the main point about this is they'll be able to stake their Solana. They'll be able to use Marinade Finance, put it in there, and instantly be able to get it back, not having it locked up. So it's even better than a bank. So if you were, if Saturday happened or something happens on the Saturday, you needed to hit the bank and get $5,000 out. Well, it's going to be some issues getting access to that money. Now, if you had, Marinade Finance, all of your savings were in there, you can go straight into there, instantly unstake your funds, send it to, you have it in your wallet right there, send it to wherever you need to. Hopefully it's, with some kind of crypto debit card that you're going to be using, potentially, I think Soulflare has one. I don't, you heard about that one. Anyway, my point is, you'll have access to that money. There's no middleman. And on top of that, you're getting like 7% or more, return, rather than the 2 or 4% you're going to get from a high yield savings account that is, managed from a bank. That's just the point there. Now let's take a look into a little bit deeper of what Marinade Finance does.
I was glued to the charts. Every dip felt like the bottom. Every pump, just the beginning. But it never was. I lost sleep. I lost some soul. Then, I lost myself. Until I didn't. There was another way. I didn't have to chase green candles. I could make my soul work for me. Marinade staking. Instead of betting on meme coins, validators were competing for my stake. Hundreds of them, competing for the highest rewards. But not everyone gets my stake. Only the best earn it. No downtime, no shortcuts. Sam automatically delegates my stake to the top validators. Miss the APY threshold? No stake. Underperform? Bonds protect my rewards. And the best part? It works for both liquid and native staking. It's time to stop playing the game and start stacking wins. Minimize risk, maximize rewards. Marinade staking.
See what I'm saying, guys? We got everything kind of mapped out for you. You got the store value, you got an opportunity to grow your funds, and with BTC Soul, you're even able to stake that Soul, get the liquid staking Soul, take it over to BTC Soul, and start earning Bitcoin. So it's a win-win across the board, guys. I'm trying to give you the easiest play here. If you've been in the space for the last 3-4 years, and you've been buying the dips and growing it, do not lose your bag on a speculative asset. You have a guaranteed winner right here. This is going to grow over time. I mean, think of it as a long-term 5-10 year savings, like real deal. Like, this is how you're really, really going to win. And you show up every single day. I promise you, one day you're going to wake up an overnight success and you'll be like, how the hell did that happen? you stayed disciplined, you stayed focused, you didn't have anybody's doubt creep into your positive thinking and the way that this thing was going to work. You didn't get shaken out of your position, but you had access to your funds whenever you needed them. So that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you guys here today. I do appreciate your time. Actually, no, let me back up. It's only been, I think we got another 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the charts real quick. But since we did have Matt in here from Fast, I do want to play this commercial because I got to support the ones that support me. Alrighty, that's Facet and Helium, guys. Both of them are things you should be taking a look at, following, and seeing what they got cooking. But we do got the charts up, or the coins up here, rather. Let me make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see for you guys. I don't know if that's good enough. That's all right, right? All right, so we got Bitcoin at 118,000. So anybody talking about the markets dipping and crashing or whatever, just take it easy. Things are going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. Well, I don't like that because you can't see the stuff. Yeah, we're going to have to keep it at that. You're going to have to trust me on this one. So anyway, $118,473 for Bitcoin. Just kind of chopping across, it's flat. Look at this, guys. There's no reason to really worry about things. You got Ethereum at $3,636. XRP is at $3.16. Dude, I put an XRP video out. That thing hit over 1,000 in like less than 24 hours on YouTube. You XRP people are fucking animals. And I appreciate it. But if you guys aren't following me on YouTube, make sure you get over there and subscribe. I've been growing the channel over the last few years. I mean, that'll show you right there. Like, there's been times with not a lot of people are checking out the content, but I still provide. I still put it up there. I really do enjoy making content, so check it out. But I was astonished that when I saw that video, I was like, I looked at it again. I was like, 1,000. How the fuck did that happen? That's crazy. But it just goes to show you there is you got to cater to the audience. So I will be doing more XRP content on the other platforms, probably not as much on X, just because it, like I said, it's mostly Bitcoin and Solana focused. But I'm not going to say no to covering other things like, blockchains that are obviously doing pretty well or getting the attention of the entire space. If I can garner some of the attention from XRP and show them what we're doing over here with Solana and Bitcoin, I think that's a win-win. So you see what I'm saying? I don't think it's a bad idea to do so. That's just kind of the way it's going to be. But BNB is up to $767. Everything is down a little bit. We're at 185 on Solana. See, I'm going to take a look at Solana and kind of explain to you, like, I'm not fucking surprised. I kind of like said this to you the last few weeks. I mean, every time we look at it, I show you the charts and I show you my points and I say, look, we're going to $180, 200, 220. If we don't break those levels, then we go back and retest the previous one. So coming down to this, it's not a fucking shock. Bitcoin's chopping. Everything else is going back to the point where, like, hey, the hype ran up and now people sold, took profit. You're towards the middle to the end of the week. It's expected to see these kind of things happen. So anybody getting worried on the timeline, they just have nothing better to talk about, because think about how much we talked about price action up until this point, and it's been 40 minutes, And that's just my case in point right there, and I'll rest it. Dogecoin down to 23 cents, Tron down to 30 cents, Cardano at 81 cents. What happened with Cardano? They're doing something I saw on like Instagram or some shit like that. Hyperliquid at $42.86, and I guess that's all we're going to take a look at as far as that goes. But let me bring up the chart, 'cause I do want to see this and kind of tap into it a little bit. But I want to thank all 36 of you guys that have joined in here. At least that's what the number shows me here. If you wanted to share this out, get more people into the conversation or into the room, would appreciate it. And we'll probably wrap this up, like I said, in about 5 minutes. Now, I do want to just touch on a couple things. This looks bullish. You got bullish flag right here, like with this chop. That's cool. Respecting the trend. We like to see that. All right, so it is climbing this trend line all the way from down here, but this is extremely bullish, bro. Like we got, I mean, maybe if it comes down more, then that might not be bullish. So depending on how things go, I mean, we are in price discovery. So like I said, there isn't much holding it underneath this line until we get to that next range on Bitcoin to like $110,000. So if we don't bump up here and keep chopping or find support, I would expect this to go back down to 110 if it does fall underneath this support, because we are bouncing across this line right there at about 100 and what is this? 116,000 right here. So just watch those levels. If you're trading this, if you're just buying and holding, you really ain't got nothing to worry about at all. We're at $118,000 Bitcoin. What would you be tripping about? Like, sure, it's going to go down, but I mean, history tells us it goes up. So I don't know. Take that into consideration. Is this the right one? I don't see any lines. Oh. There we go. So many lines on this. This shit looks crazy. Look, I'm not the most technical sounding person when it comes to charts and all of this stuff, so don't expect any kind of fantastic vocabulary when it comes to this, and using all the same indicators. I'm sure that there's ways that work for everybody else, but I'm just going to show you the things that I see and why I kind of just chart the way I do. I guess we got to get back to the 4 hours. All right, so this is a good example right here. So what we were looking at and why I have all of these lines all the way back here is this right here was an indicator that this is support around the $185 or $180, and again right here bounce again at 180, and then it ran all the way up here to whatever the fuck it was. That all-time high. Yeah, that's our all-time high indicator right there. Then we sold off all the way down from there to damn near $100, 95 right here. This is April. And we've climbed all the way back up here, made our W. That's where this is forming, making those levels, staircasing our way up here, found higher lows. So that's a good indicator that we're in an uptrend. But once we started this trend right here, continuing along here, like might as well just grab this bad boy and do this. You had to pay attention to these previous points around the 180 mark, because when you zoom in now, you start to see, okay, once we were climbing up this way, there's 160, 170. Here's the 170-ish, like 180 mark right there. And that's where we topped out before and came back down until we reversed at that bottom from this previous point here at 117. So you kind of use the historical price from where breakouts, support and resistance kind of happen. And when you draw the line straight through them, there's intersecting lines. I say there's a lot of traffic right there. You start paying attention to what those lines represent, what they mean, and you can see, hey, at this spike right here, we rejected at 180 super hard, came all the way back down here. Almost the same exact points across here. So for us to break through 180 and really just run all the way straight up here to 200, that was great. But I kind of had a feeling we are going to revisit the 180 if we don't hold that support. Because if you draw the line from this top all the way back in history, where do we find this intersects? Where do we find this? Well, at the exact same point that this started selling off again. So sure, we ran up to 200. But at this point right here at 200, it's sold all the way off. And the previous points where it could have caught after that was, again, this is the 180 mark. This is about 190. And then you look back here, it's like, well, where has this happened? You just start looking at the previous points of this, then like it's very, very clear. You could see almost like it's pretty easy to dictate it. If we're in a bullish situation with Bitcoin and we're seeing this price action here, we got to start respecting the line or the price action before, because the price action is kind of dictating what people are seeing that are like everybody else. We're seeing the same charts at the same price. So me seeing this run all the way up through the 180 to the 200, that's where I was like 180, 200, 220. And then we start going up even higher pretty quicker. But now that we're coming back here, I would expect us to kind of revisit this point. But now this opens up the next question. Are we going to get this gap fill cup and handle situation from here? So if you look all the way back here, it filled that gap perfectly. And here's our handle. So if we catch here at 180, what I do, and I try to explain this to you guys, this is my favorite way to look at a chart. You find your bottom over here. Roughly, it doesn't have to be super precise. And then you find the gap fill at the top. And then that's straight. I can't tell. Yeah, it looks straight. Then you grab that, take it to your handle, right? If this comes all the way down to the trend line, that would be, a significant point to kind of use as a reference. But that takes us up to $300 exactly. So this pullback, it's fine, in my opinion, because you filled that gap. You use that depth from the lowest point. Now that we filled this right here, you use your cup and handle. This is where this should go. And then that is like, you guys are watching this in real time. I'm not doing this like I just said. This doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it close. And now let's take a line over here. Let's fill this next gap. It's pretty much at this top right here, right? So if we are to move this to the top, move this down to make it straight there, kind of adjust this to be a little bit closer. It goes directly where that trend line is, all the way from here at the $120. You see what I'm saying? Like, you just use the historical points of reference on a chart in a bullish scenario. You can kind of see where the price action would likely fall. So we have our W. If we filled this gap, we filled that gap. We continue filling these gaps higher and higher and higher. Look, it has to come down a little bit. It has to breathe. Remember when I was talking to you guys yesterday about the RSI and the MACD and stuff like this, right? Well, if you didn't, I was tapping into this because I use these to kind of watch how I'm going to trade this. Now, the RSI was all the way up here. I was like, yo, this is like bucks. Like when it gets to 70, it's overbought. And it typically needs to come down. When you're in a extreme bull market, it will blast right through that shit. But that means you're in super volatile situations where you're going to lose your ass on leverage, and you're probably going to miss your exit if you're trying to time the market. So don't do either of those if you're looking long term. But if you are trading, these are good indications that, hey, things are probably going to be a little spicy. We saw that this, we followed the MACD, and the green was turning to red, and it was looking like it was happening pretty quickly. So when we were topping out over 70, we knew that it was time for this to cool down. When we see the MACD, the lines are getting ready to flip. You have a signal line that's showing you, hey, things are looking a little crazy over here. Let's change the hour. Let's go to 2 hours, see if we get a better look. So I can kind of show you guys this a little bit more. You can see here, right? Like, we were looking at this over here, and that's where I was like, all right, we're at 200. That's great. But you got to see, like, hey, this is starting to cool off. We're starting to kind of flip on this one, and it was chopping, right? And then it went pew, straight all the way down. And we see this time and time again. But this has been a rolling hill, like gradually picking up momentum. But now that we see this has come down here, and we found support at these ranges, 180, 185, start to take a look at this right here. Now that we are flipping right here, this blue line starting to bottom out, it's going to curl over. Once it flips over the orange line, we're back to bull. And if that works out the way that I'm seeing this is going to, let me reset this view here. Now you guys will start to see this take shape. Here's 180-ish. That's why I'm saying ish. It could be give or take $1 or $2. It doesn't have to be super, super perfect, but it's going to find these points. See this chop, see this resistance. See, it broke out right here. Now we're going to be looking for this to potentially come back down here, revisit there, as this has started to sell a little bit and buyers are going to start taking over. Bull's going to, take effect. Let this sell down to 30 on the RSI for you to really see this flip. And then you'll see these blue lines crossing over the orange lines on the MACD. That would be your signal that it's going back to the bull, that where you would want to put in your leverage. No more than 20%, no more than, I would say, 5% of your bags, because if you lose it, you're going to be upset about that. The other point would be put a take profit, use your tools and stuff like that. But just take a look at what's going on here. Look at the lines, points of reference. Here's 190, and then here's the 200 mark right there. We tapped it, came back down, tapped this one, almost bounced, broke through all the way down here. And if this doesn't maintain and reclaim 190, I would believe, we're bound to be back in the 175, 180 range. And that's okay, because that does, again, that works in our favor for, I told you that didn't look as straight as I wanted it to be. That works in our favor for this. We fill the gap right here. See what I'm saying? At the 200 mark, where it broke down right here, the distance from 200 down to 90 something right here, that's this right there. So if we do have this being our cup and handle, this should come down close to this trend line, or respectively, like the 175, 180. And once we work our way back up, it might not be a rocket straight to the top like this one is right here, but it could be close to it. And if we zoom out just a bit, reset this. I guess let's go back to 4 hours. So these lines are the kind of where I've been charting these gap fills and where they should send us respectively. I guess I'll show you this one and then we'll wrap this thing up. All right, so that's the W, that's the situation, that's the chart and the momentum. If this does fill right here, I would expect this should take us to the 300 mark. That's just kind of the way that the chart looks in a bull case scenario. I don't really chart outside of that just because I'm like, I don't want to. Maybe I just don't want it to go there. Why isn't this fixing for me? I don't like this. Oh, I got to go to week to show you this part. All right, let's take a look at the daily. Again, guys, if you're not seeing rockets in the chat or in the chart, then you're not getting good advice or good charting. So I looked at this the other day. We went all the way back to $260 here and had to revisit that just because that was the top. That was the top right here. We filled the gap, right, guys? And this is a potential double top, which shows us that this this handle got invalidated and we came all the way back down here. Now, what you can consider this being an extended handle, and now this W forming off that tail end, I had to take a look at our low point to the top right here and take that to the bottom of our handle on this huge cup and handle. And where would this take us? Well, this takes us close to 400. 388 is where like it kind of tops out. So I would imagine that this is, roughly where we might top out with Solana on this cycle before we come back and revisit this as our support. Because if you look over here, this is where it was rejected. That's very close to these points right here. And that's just kind of where I see this is like our support right now. If we can keep bouncing off of this, creating higher lows, forming a nice W right here, if we fill this gap right here back up to the $300 range, it should send us and it should create points of support where this can push up to 400 with pretty much no problem. That's what I've been looking at. That's what I see as far as the price action when it comes to Salami. But make sure you put the charts or the rockets in the chat right here. But again, when you start to look at this on a large scale and you take a look at the RSI and the MACD and you start to look at, hey, where is this going? This does look like it is kind of like getting a little warm. You're at 66 on the RSI on the daily chart. And again, guys, zoom all the way out, get a big picture, like understand what's going on. But this is a bullish scenario from here all the way up. This looks great. I mean, we had a long bear market right here, but Bitcoin had one of those too, and then it went astronomically higher. So don't worry too much about it. Just take a look at what we got here. We got support, resistance, like this where it broke out before, guys, all the way back here in 2021. Came back down here, so check that as support, ran all the way up to all-time high. Came back down, and what did it do? Where was this at? Right here. It tried to bounce here again, but it didn't have it. It broke down. Then we created support right here, almost at this same point. So it's like we're seeing all the way across the board support and resistance. These lines are holding true, and I mean, we're just filling up the rock. It's like this is going to continue to go. I think, you know, respectively this year we might be able to see 300. It is probably going to take a little bit of time, but it's all going to be dictated on the price action momentum. I mean, we're chilling just under $200 right now, and not too bad. Charts look good. We got a perfect W forming right here. This is the distance to you know, run up from this gap fill, and we can keep seeing how this is staircasing our way up. So take that for what it is, guys. That's the way that I do my my charting. I use TradingView on this one. It saves my lines on there, so I like that. I can come back and reference this and kind of, you know, see where I went wrong, what I didn't see, and continue to get better at this stuff. And you know, that's the name of the game, man. Consistency and always being a student. We kind of referenced that earlier today in the conversation, but I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We are at 59 minutes. It's funny, man. I don't even plan this shit, and it's like on the dot to a T. But I appreciate you rocking with me this morning. This is GM Chat. I'm SMS, and this is at Solana Made Simple at its best. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the timeline. We got a bunch of fun stuff going on throughout the day, so make sure you stay close. All right.